So much to see and do in Grants. Parks provide relaxation for picnics and athletic events. Creative activities abound at the Senior Citizen Center. The new animal shelter is a state-of-the-art facility for our lost pets. Grants is home to the Mount Taylor Quad, Fire and Ice Bike Rally, 4th of July Rodeo, and so much more. Grants, the gateway to outdoor adventures, sightseeing, hunting, hiking, biking, and riding. Grants, where ancient and modern civilizations meet. Grants, a great place to live.
All folks, every day that we don't do anything about it is a day too late. Thank you.
Eileen, would you like to speak to that, about what we're doing economically development, trying to get people into this town? I'm sorry, John, but with the mines closing and everything else that we got going on, we're taking the hits, and it's only going to get worse. And all I can say is it's just like I told all the coal miners and everybody else, watch how you vote, because that's what's killing this town, John.
And for that reason, we ought to be trying harder. For that very reason, we ought to be trying harder. We ought to be trying and doing and trying and attempting to do different things instead of, oh, we tried that 20 years ago, it didn't work. Let's go, let's find something else. We find something else. Oh, that's not, that's too good for Grants. Grants isn't for that. It's a sad situation. It really is.
Comments from the council?
Yeah. John, what it's going to take is time, and we are doing things that are progressive in this community. And you drive across this country and you find towns like this all over the country. I mean, you drive through these little towns, you see the same thing over and over and over again. It's not just Grants.
Not just Grants.
And we know that it's happening, and we're not going to let this mining thing stop us. We're going to let these.
There were 200 hikers that came to
us. We're going to move forward. We're going to keep our chins up, and we're going to keep fighting for it. We are doing things. We've done things in the last year that a lot of people are commenting on and appreciating. It's just what it's going to take is more time.
John, addressing that, I think Main Street, the Chamber, Economic Development, have tried really hard trying to get something in the downtown area, and everybody that's out there knows how hard they've worked to beautify our town. And if it wasn't for these organizations, we wouldn't have what we have in our park now. So I really feel offended when people come up and says, you guys haven't done nothing. Have you looked at our streets? Have you looked at our downtown park, our flowers? No, I feel insulted by you telling me that, John, because we've all worked very hard to get this town beautified. Look around you, look what we have done, look what the Chamber's done, look what Economic is doing. Main Street is reorganizing. They're coming up again. So yes, we are doing things in our town, John.
Anybody else?
Well, I guarantee you Grants isn't going to die. We lived through the uranium bust. We'll live through, if the coal mine does finally completely shut down, that's not as big a loss to us as thousands of jobs when the uranium mine's closed. And we're still here.
I think we're in the process of redefining our town, and we do have a lot of assets here. It's just that in the past, I just feel like we haven't really taken a good inventory of the assets that are strong here. I do think it's coming to the surface now that what really is selling around the country, when you look at Moab, Aspen, Telluride, places like that, is people want to take a short vacation in their state, in their town, or in their region. And we can provide a lot of that for people in this region, but we have to finish redefining ourselves and stop thinking we're just a busted mining town, because we're not. There's a lot more to us than that.
And I've been busting my butt, John. Okay? I have been busting my butt to try to get other industries in here, and everybody on this council can attest to that. My economic director over there, she can attest to this. I mean, honestly, I'm not at a loss because I'm still at it and I'm not going to stop. But I don't know what else to say to that one.
We will survive.
Yes, we will. Bob, would you like to introduce your board?
Indeed. Thank you, Mayor, Councilman. I'd like to introduce the new board members that we've put together. We have talked 2 or 3 times that we've gotten together, and we're already coming up with ideas that are following through with some of the suggestions the council has had. We intend to continue Main Street's main theme, but we want to be very proactive in helping events that come through our town to help us replace the bike rally and anything else that we can do to help. And with that vein in mind, I'd like to introduce our board members. We have Rick Morgan as our vice president. Christopher Baca is our treasurer. Crystal Harwood, I don't think she's here, but she's our new secretary. Brittany Bird couldn't be here today, but she's a very enthusiastic young lady. Sylvia Gonzalez, I'm sure you all know who she is. Joanne Martinez, board member. She works at Home State. Josephine Hurtado, there she is back there. Nancy Jewell is our secretary. Everybody knows her. And she's going to be leaving the board sometime soon, but she's going to stay on board long enough to get the new board going and make sure everything's on, before she's comfortable to leave. And so with that in mind, I'd like to have her come up and speak and introduce somebody special.
Okay, first of all, good evening, and I wanted to say thank you for the $10,000 last time we were here. I wasn't sure if that was covered, but thank you. Come July 22nd, we will have a new, an interim executive director, which is Ashley Gallegos. I can introduce you. She'll come up and speak with you in just a moment. But I'm excited about this new board. Our first meeting right out of the chute, we had things flying. And just with that one meeting, they came up with an annual outdoor weekend and/or day, cycling races, scavenger hunt, passport, mountain bike demo. They've got some things flying. I'm very excited for this new crew, and they're excited to get going. So I'm asking that you just allow us to go forward and renew a partnership again with you, give this board the chance to renew a partnership with you. And with that being said, I would like to introduce you to the interim executive director. The new board will, either keep her or go from there. But I'm excited for this board. So Ashley, if you come up and introduce yourself as well.
Are you a hometown girl?
Yes, I am.
Make my day.
Hello, I'm Ashley Gallegos. I have been with the Main Street for 2.5 years. I have spent these years learning all about the program. I can recite everything in my sleep. I am also in college. I am going to graduate with my BBA in marketing next May. And I ask as well if you will let us continue with the Main Street. We have our new board, we have new innovative ideas, and we hope that we can share that with you and start our new partnership.
Questions?
I'm fine with it.
Eddie?
Fine with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ashley. What I'd like for you to find out is what's the minimum support a town can give to Main Street to keep it in operation. I question this $40,000, the number that was thrown out a few weeks ago, that's required by a community to provide for Main Street. So I'd like for you to find that out for us.
Okay, the minimum is 35,000.
Okay.
And that covers just part-time director, right, and all that good stuff.
And the less we get, of course, from here, then the less funding we get from Main Street. So
Yes.
it's thin waters.
And we'll discuss this further at the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you for hearing us. We plan to be around.
And I'll see you guys in the morning.
And we appreciate you guys not just throwing your hands up and walking away. We appreciate you fighting for the Main Street.
We'll be a thorn in everybody's side.
Starting with me in the morning, right?
Oh, absolutely.
See you guys in the morning. And thank you guys. Thank you. Without a doubt. Okay? Public comment and discussion on our charter compliance.
Mr. Mayor, we're in compliance.
Anybody else there want to talk about our charter compliance? Thank you. Regular city council meetings from June 27th, 2016. Anybody see any corrections or anything on those?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as written.
I second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Dickens?
Yes.
Councilor Lewis?
Yes.
Northwest Council of Governments Agreement. We do this every year. And I don't see anybody here from the Council of Governments. Anybody here from the Council of Governments in the back? Nobody's here from the Council of Governments.
Me, I'm on the board.
Yeah, well, I am too, but I mean, I would like to just extend this and do it 2 years at a time. That's my suggestion of this. I mean, if you want to keep it at 1 year, that's fine.
Can we vote on that right now for
Yes, we can, that's why it's there.
Okay, I'll make a motion, we extend it for 2 years and accept it.
I second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Dickens?
Yes.
Yes.
Done. The next one we got is the New Mexico DOT Airport Grant.
So I put in your packet an announcement that came out, and I believe there was something in the local paper as well. Our several airports across the state received federal funding, and we are going to be receiving $221,490 for the airport runway, which needs some much needed rehab. And so I feel very fortunate that we're obtaining this funding.
Is that enough, Lauren?
For the planning grant, it is.
I think it was just the planning, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, is it just a planning?
Yeah, it's
Maybe
just
it
a planning.
is. So then I guess
And
we'll
then
apply
we'll-
for
Then
additional
we'll
for
get
the
the 3 million
actual,
like Gallup got after we've
done our planning
we get
grant.
all of our good stuff. Actually, by the planning grant, my guess would be it would be about 2.5 million is what we'll get instead of the full 3.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, they usually work out to about 10%, 8% for the planning grant to the actual cost of the project. So, a motion to accept the planning grant?
I make a motion to accept the planning grant for $221,490.
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Dickens?
Yes.
Councilor Lewis?
Yes.
Okay. Ordinance, amending city ordinance zoning map. Laura?
I believe Mr. Windhorst is here. Would you like to come up and talk to them about this?
Are you gonna do both of these ones, Robert?
Yes.
The next two? Make my day. Don't run off, then just stay there.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, our City Manager, we would like to present to the Council for vote and recommend approving Ordinance 16-1216, amending the City of Grant's zoning map. We're in the process of fixing some of the zoning problems that we have found, that when the city created the zoning areas, they did it in good faith. But there were some things that needed to be adjusted. And so we would like to recommend the rezoning of Kirby Park from mixed residential to special use. Ballparks are not allowed in a mixed residential area. We placed a notice on May 24th, 2016 in the newspaper, and we also posted the property and put notice that we were looking to change this. 12 property owners were notified regarding rezoning requests and received no objections, and there will be no changes in property taxes to anyone.
Well, I find this absolutely hilarious because I started playing ball in that park in 1976 when they built Smith's and closed Roosevelt Park. So if this zoning map's been off since 76 to 2016, great job. Glad you found it. Any questions from the council?
No, I recommend we approve the new ordinance. 16-1216.
Second, Councilor Rivers, seconds. Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
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 Vasquez, yes.
Yes.
Eddie?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Next one.
I'd like to also add that this went before, both of these ordinances went before planning and zoning. And these were their recommendations, not my personal recommendation, but I do support what they came up with. So we would recommend that ordinance 16-1217, amending the City of Grants land use table, be approved. In this, the amendment to special use to allow the following things in these areas. Clinic, dental, or medical. And that would be our PMS clinic, dialysis center, family health center, hospital, sanatorium, private nursing home, Cibola General. Radio or television stations with transmitter tower, KDSK radio tower off of Zuni Caney Road. Radio or television stations without a transmitter tower. Schools, elementary and secondary, Mount Taylor Elementary. These are already operating in special use areas, but for some reason back in 2012, when this was adopted, they were not on the table to be allowed. Approving this will bring them into compliance and correct the oversight from the adoption of the land use code in 2012. There was originally the Office of Code Enforcement initially suggested 13 changes, but after the Planning and Zoning Commission went over it carefully, they narrowed it down to 5, and the 5 are the ones that that I had just mentioned. So we would recommend that the City Council vote this ordinance into law.
Questions?
Make a motion, we accept this new ordinance 16-1217.
Second.
Second.
Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez?
Yes.
Councilor Dickens?
Yes.
Councilor Lewis?
Yes.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you.
Chief Hayes? You're not a very popular guy in my book when you do this.
Why? Talked about it, how long have we talked about this?
We've been talking about it a long time, it still don't mean I agree with it. Go for it.
Mayor and councilman, city manager, and everybody else in the audience. This is the beginning of the process to ask for a 0.25% tax increase, gross receipts tax, I should say, to be allowed on the ballot November 8th, 2016. You'll notice in the paper, I've already gone to the county, and tonight is the city council, and in a few days it'll be the trustees. To allow for whatever paperwork needs to be done. The city clerk is more apt to get all this good stuff in the paper than I am. Asking for your approval so that it can go forward and be completed within that 63-day window before the election in November. Once again, it's a 0.25 cent for regional communications to allow them to be an entity to themselves and have their own funding, and yet then have those dollars that we carve out of our general funding for the county, the city, and the village to be allowed to do something else with those funds. If everything works well and it's on the tax and everything is voting for it to be approved, it will go into effect January 1st, 2017, and then enacted for those 6 months, and then July 1, 2017, CRCC board will be its own self.
Questions?
Robert, do
Yes.
we have an estimate of how much money it would bring in
$880,000 is what the estimate is
per year?
per year.
Is Milan going to do the same thing?
They've been very proactive with it. When I've gone and told them about it a few months ago, I guess on the 21st, I'm on their agenda, hopefully, and we'll talk to them just as I am tonight. And then after the time frame elapses, I'll come back. I'm going to go back in August to the county, and then again here, and again in the village to ask for your approval for that ordinance to be put on the ballot.
So Robert, besides the EMS, it's the language in it is for mental health services as well, right?
This, and I've always struggled with how they have worded it, but the boilerplate ordinance that I got from the Secretary of State has that wording in there. Never understood why, but it has to be in
Yeah,
there.
I'm kind of wondering, besides our dispatch, which I think we're paying 700 and some thousand a year.
Total.
Between
Yes.
all the entities. So if we bring in a little bit more, we might be able to do something to address the transient homeless issue that we have not really addressed as a community.
Well, and what I mentioned to you is the $300,000 plus that we set aside for the Regional Communication Center. The board can do whatever it likes with those dollars.
Right, it will free up some of our dollars to deal with our infrastructure needs.
Here's where I'm at on this. It's a 1/4 cent increase for something that we're already taxed for. Period.
True.
We're already taxed for this, we're already paying for this. And my second point is, what happens when you outgrow this tax? That's why we're discussing the taxes, because of the growth of it.
Mhm.
Then what happens? We go back and we ask the people for another tax, and another tax.
Or you come to the respective
Come
boards
to
and
the
ask them
respective-
to pay for it. I
to pay
don't,
for
Mayor,
it.
I don't know. One way or another, the community has to pay for the communications
That's right,
aspect of what
and
we do.
we've been paying for it since I've been on this board, out of the taxes that we now pay. And therefore, I need to see no reason whatsoever to put the burden of a 1/4 cent gross receipts tax on the people for this when it's already being paid for.
How much are we paying for that now?
We pay,
Last year was $285,000.
third of the bill.
Where's the bill?
Now, 47.5% is what we pay.
Yeah.
If we're gonna impose a 1/4 cent tax increase,
Well, Mayor, respectfully, all I'm asking is to let the electorate
I understand what you're
decide.
asking. You're asking us to let the people decide.
Correct.
this, Okay?
And-
I don't get a vote here. I'm just letting the people know where I stand.
Mayor,
And I will vote against that, okay?
It sounds like you just voted against it.
Yes, I
And
do.
all I'm asking, Mayor, is for that ability. And this is an all or nothing proposal.
If it's a tie, I kill it. Okay,
No,
I'll let you know that right now.
Respectfully,
So you
Mayor,
need
all I'm
to-
asking is that they be allowed. And it's an all or nothing tax. And we are the lion's share. If you vote it down, then actively, then this board will continue to pay for basic communications, just as it is. That's all I'm asking for.
Any other statements from the council?
Part of the theory behind it too is it's a gross receipts tax, so it's on items you buy at the store. So people who are visiting our town will also be paying that. And many of our EMS calls are for people on the interstate, for accidents,
At
for
hotels,
people who have
hotels.
heart attacks or distressed, become ill as they're traveling. And right now, we're paying for all of it, so it would generate funds from those individuals as well and free up our dollars for our streets and some of our infrastructure needs that we have.
So you're estimating that it'll raise $850,000?
$880,000 is the estimate.
And right now, we're paying 700 and some thousand together between the three communities.
Correct, 792 is what,
Three entities.
once it's been budgeted.
We're paying right at 800,000. It's basically gonna break even, Mike. It's basically gonna break even, and they might get a little left over, but as far as it going to a homeless or anything like that, it needs to go to replacing computers and everything else that we got going on over there to continually update our system, because once we're behind the bullet, and that's what we're talking about now, aren't we?
It could be, but we've also been afforded a grant recently.
Yes, and I'm aware of that.
That is to improve our
Guys,
IT.
I'm against a 1/4 cent gross receipts tax in the city of Grants at this time, especially with all the layoffs we've had and everything that we've got going on, the 25 plus buildings that John counted on Main Street that are boarded up. No way. That's where I'm at on it.
And what
But
if-
you guys get to decide, unless it's a tie.
What if Milan doesn't pass it?
Then it dies. It's
What
got
if,
to
what if the
be.
county doesn't? I'm talking about in the election.
In the election, this is an all or nothing. If one out of the three do not pass it, I won't present it to DFA for approval.
Do you mean when people are voting on it, or with the council
Yes,
No,
voting?
people
put it up
vote,
for
when
vote?
people vote in November. If one of the three entities just votes it down, then I will go to my board and say, I don't recommend it going to DFA, and then that will be it. It needs to be all or nothing. The entire community needs to be behind what we do for emergencies. And like I said, respectfully, Mayor, I'm just asking for the chance.
I understand.
And you can voice your disapproval and sway those votes as you will. And all I'm asking is for the chance for this communications board to be an entity so that it can do a better job for the community.
So theoretically, it frees up the other $750,000 we're paying now.
And actually, for us, it's about 280.
Well, my recommendation was $300,000 to set aside for this fiscal year.
But over the years, we've been paying an average of about $250,000 a year.
Now you want is a chance to put it on the ballot
Yes, sir.
and let the people decide.
Exactly.
So what's the proposal for doing, what would we do with the $300,000 that we would free up? And any ideas?
More roads. And start right down here in this corner and fix all this corner around here in the chamber, and that would be my suggestion.
That's definitely
Okay.
a top priority of the citizens is the roads.
I mean, that would be my.
Roads,
what about this?
infrastructure, sewer, water lines.
What about this homeless problem that we're facing all the time?
You know, if we have an excess, and I think the mayor's brought up some important things that, you know, there's a board that oversees the dispatch program, and I think we'd like a lot of input in that so that that's managed well, and that money's not being wasted, because we don't have an excess of resources. So I think it's real important we have close oversight. But, you know, with the language in there, mental illness, is that what it says? Or I think is it mental illness? I can't remember what it said, but I think it leaves some
Behavioral health.
Behavioral health, okay, behavioral health covers a wide variety of issues, and the shooting in Dallas was a mental health issue. You know, they're calling it guns, they're calling it whatever.
Pissed off veteran issue.
And we get pissed off too, but we don't go out and shoot a bunch of police officers, so it was a mental health issue. And so it's something our society is going to have to start addressing, and in our community as well. And behavioral health is also substance abuse. We have a very high rate of substance abuse. So there's lots of stuff that we could do with that extra money to address those things. Right now, we don't have the resources to provide counseling and services for, I mean, we're sending people off to other communities for treatment. We have very little here for treatment for substance abuse. I'm sure our chief of police can echo the great behavioral health needs that we have in our community. It's tremendous, and not even for just adults, but in our schools. You know, I was shocked leaving the school system how many youth have behavioral health needs, starting from kindergarten on up. Kids that are on antidepressants, kids that are on all kinds of meds.
But after they spend their $800,000 on dispatch, $50,000 they have left over isn't going to be much for a treatment center or anything else. And that money needs to be rolled over into new equipment. So the computers and the cars all match and all that stuff always happens in there. That money doesn't need to be sent anyplace else. And as far as these transient homeless people go, and I'm sure the chief and this chief here can attest to it, they're not homeless. They have homes. They're just not here. They don't sell alcohol where their homes are at, and that's why they're here, guys. They have homes. Me and my wife were giving them rides out to Sheep Hills and White Horse, and one of them was a code talker. I was amazed. His medals were on the wall when we got to his house. And I said, what are you going to do? You're dying on the streets of Grants. There's alcohol in Grants. And I agree with Michael. We go back to the Sunday sales and stuff like that. We're talking a whole new ballgame, guys. But that transient homeless thing, they're not homeless, guys. They're not.
Well, a lot of them are incapable of.
It's a substance abuse deal.
Yeah, they're
that's
not
the biggest thing we
capable of
have in our
holding a
county.
job or keeping an apartment. That's why they're.
But they can pay for a cell phone.
If we committed to using this $350,000 that this is supposedly going to free up for us, if we committed to serving that population or going in that direction to serve that population, and I don't mean setting up a freebie for everybody that's walking on our street, but a real program that would help some of these folks, then I would support it.
Appreciate that, Council. And regarding the oversight on the board, I sit on the board, the chief of police sits on the board, and Bob Brown sits on the board. So,
How's the city represented?
By
Chief
Chief
Hayes,
Hayes and Chief
Chief
Vandenberg.
Vandenberg, and Bob Brown. They're all three right here tonight. I'll entertain a motion either way. If you don't make a motion, it dies due to lack of a motion. So, whatever you guys.
Mayor, can I make?
You bet you can, Bob Brown. You sit on the board that we're deciding the payment on.
In these dangerous times that we live in, we can't afford our first responders to be unable to communicate with each other because of lack of equipment. And you know, we live in a dangerous world where ISIS and all, you never know what's going to happen. And we have to have a first-class system so that these guys can all talk to each other without having to go from one room to another or one dispatcher to another. Time is critical in those instances, and I think that that's one reason that we should consider Bob's proposal. Thank you.
Don't we already have that aspect though now?
Yeah, it's already being paid for.
It's already done, guys. We're already be able to talk to everybody. The sheriffs are able to talk to the GPD and the state police. All of that already exists. That happened after 9/11. That's why that tax was passed that pays for this right now. All we're doing is asking for another tax to free up a little bit of money so the city can do something else with it.
and the
Okay.
county and the village.
And
For
for me, we're doubling a tax when we're already paying for it. See, that's what I'm saying, guys. We're already paying for this. We're already being taxed for this since 9/11, 2001. We've been taxed for this by the federal government. Now we're trying to impose a local tax to pay for it twice.
Mayor, I disagree. I disagree. The 9/11 tax you see on your cell phone bill goes for a vast many other things than
You
just.
bet it does, but it's all part of the same thing. Like I said, I'll entertain a motion now. Anybody else out there want to talk on this subject? I'll entertain a motion either way.
Oh, what the I move that we approve the proposed ordinance for a tax increase so that the people of Grant can decide for themselves if they want it.
Second. Councilor Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilor Vasquez? Councilor Jacobs? No. Councilor Lewis?
Yes.
There it is. Comments from the council? Sydney?
I have one, what I call the District 3 Repair Fund now has $3,260.18. When there is a little bit more since concrete work costs like, $100 per square centimeter. When there is more, there will be some information given to the people of France about, I'll have.
What District 3 is going to do?
District 3, yeah. Permission slips to work on the sidewalks, that kind of thing. Okay? And people can be emailing me with if they want their sidewalks done. But it's a start. Just $3,200, doesn't buy a lot of concrete.
Is that it?
That's it.
Manny?
I got it.
You got nothing? Eddie?
Uh-oh, he's looking at me.
Butt in later
Got
now.
my pen ready.
Got your pen ready?
Yeah.
I got a big list.
Okay,
Yeah.
big list, okay. You know, you can call me before the meetings and give it to me.
Just need to start mowing. Eventually, it's gonna rain. The
Yeah.
weeds are already high.
The bush hog was in the shop and it comes out tomorrow, so,
Okay.
okay.
And I already spoke to Robert about citing people for their weeds. Some of them are letting the weeds get out of hand.
Michael Lewis?
I'd just like to remind the police department in our town that we support them. And I think we're fortunate to live in a multicultural community.
You betcha.
And there is no one race or culture or group of people here that have a majority of people. And I'm just thankful that we live in a state that's really not affected by this stuff we're seeing around the country. And and at the same time, remind the police department that we want to be protected and served, not bullied. And not that we feel that way, we don't. Thank you, Chief.
You got something more?
Yes. I'd like to thank our police department as well. This weekend, several of our officers got out on Saturday and Sunday, and they painted the outside of the police station. And Mr. Windhorse and his daughters also participated, and I'd like to thank Mr. Windhorse. Also, he goes above and beyond. I see him out in the morning before 8 o'clock spraying weeds, and you know, he helped organize some cleanup after the 4th of July parade. He's putting in a lot of extra time and effort, and just wanted to praise him for that and thank him. It means a lot to the city. And thank you, Chief Vandiver, for your great leadership. You know, we've got a great set of officers, and I was real pleased that they were out helping this weekend. I think I mentioned we were putting in an application for the Continental Divide Trail to be a gateway community. We received notice today that we will get that designation, and so some signs will be coming our way, and we'll be preparing a proclamation for our city and the county to join efforts to proclaim that we're a gateway community and working on some things to make that happen. So we're very excited about that.
We've gotten rid of all the salt cedars. Now we need to get rid of the Chinese elms.
Thank God. You're not cutting mine down.
No, I'm talking in the ditches where they slow the water down and create the flooding. And along our parks, in our fences, Edward, San Jose Park is real bad, where the Chinese elms are growing up through the fences and they never get cut down, they never get poisoned. The ones in the ditches, though, we really need to get those. And the ones along the railroad right-of-way, so contact Granite or Santa Fe Northern, whoever they are, and see if they'll go through and take those out, like the ones along behind the beacon, all the way down, and get those Chinese elms removed out, because all they do is keep reseeding. Okay?
And those elms in Riverwalk Park, they're about 70 years old, 80 years old, and those do have a life, and they're dying. And those trees need to be replaced, or we can leave them there for now, but we need to be planting other trees
as they die off.
And then bring those down when we get.
You know, and as we do that, we need to look at something like the Alamo tree or the cottonwoods that are native here, not these Chinese elms that were brought in for shade trees for cows and whatnot. Okay, I don't even know if maybe Matt Allen could use those Chinese elms in his pellet plant. I don't know. I mean, we can ask him.
I saw Michael Zernaway cutting some, and I was like, is he cleaning out a ditch? Or, and then later I saw they posted some kind of structure he made out of it. I was like, well, you can have all of them you want.
They're going to get them all.
Take them off furniture.
Yeah.
And the next thing I got is the ditches look good. Over there at the cemetery walk, where's the water coming from, Edward? Is it a spring? See if we can get somebody in there that can give us an answer on that. Because it's a lake, man, and it won't go away. See what we got there, please. I mean, if it's a spring, we won't have anything, right? There shouldn't be any chlorine or nothing in it. But if it's coming off of that cemetery, it will, right? Yeah, the water levels are coming up because we're getting rid of the salt cedars, and that's what we wanted to happen, okay? Because it takes it all back to the natural deal, and I mean that was part of the plan when we did the salt cedars. And if that's part of it, great. That's what we wanted to happen anyway. Okay. And again, Greg, thank you. Tell your officers to continue to be vigilant and safe. I hate funerals, okay? Especially ones with badges. Been to a few, they're not fun. And on that note, I'll entertain a motion to close this meeting.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Have a good night. Thank you, guys.
So much to see and do in Grants. Parks provide relaxation for picnics and athletic events. Creative activities abound at the Senior Citizen Center. The new animal shelter is a state-of-the-art facility for our lost pets. Grants is home to the Mount Taylor Quad, Fire and Ice Bike Rally, 4th of July Rodeo, and so much more. Grants, the gateway to outdoor adventures, sightseeing, hunting, hiking, biking, and riding. Grants, where ancient and modern civilizations meet. Grants, a great place to live.